Welcome everybody to episode 202 of the You Can't Comp This NBA Trading Card Podcast. We are your hosts, Adam, Amy, and Russell Gibson. Veterans. We're veterans after 200 episodes.
I don't know. What makes you a veteran? How many episodes would it be?
I don't know. I feel like we're in not many. I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of podcasts out there that go a long time, but there's also a lot of podcasts that are dead and buried by 200. There are plenty that don't make 100. So
the magic number is 20. Most podcasts, once they get to 20, that's it. They don't come back.
Yeah. Well, we are much more persistent than that. We're at 202.
Yeah, that's
we're
right.
Still here.
All right.
Let's get stuck into it.
Everyone at home, hope you're all well.
Yes, hello to everybody on YouTube, everyone listening on Central Coast Radio or on Spotify, YouTube Podcasts, Google Podcast, whatever podcasting platform you're listening to us on.
We don't care. Thank you.
We just appreciate you listening to us.
Hey, why don't we do a bit of a warm-up today, just talking just hoops in general? Because there was a bunch of stuff that you put into the sheet today that you're pretty keen to talk about. So
crazy games of basketball.
Why don't you tell us about the Steph Curry game? And while you're doing that, I'll try and find a cool Steph Curry card to talk about at the end, and then we'll do Jokic after that. Yeah.
All right, so I'm just going to delve into the box score from one of today's games. And by today, I mean Wednesday, the 2nd of April, time of recording.
We should probably talk about that, yeah. So, guys, if you are listening to us, we recorded this on Wednesday night, Australian time. Adam and I are going to have the weekend off this weekend.
Yeah, we're going to enjoy a bit of a relaxing weekend. So we're recording in advance, but, Steph Curry definitely was doing something in advance because he dropped 52 points. 52, 10, and 8 with 5 steals, shooting 60% from 3, hitting 12 from 20. Like, what kind of crazy numbers? Yeah.
I get what you're saying. It's quite hard to put into words how good the guy is.
It's Steph Curry. Like, we're still like, wow, this guy. For anyone that isn't aware, Steph Curry's really good at shooting the 3-point shot.
I think he's the greatest in-game shooter ever. He might not be the greatest shooter, like if you put people up just to set shots, but I think in terms of his skill in a game, it's just ridiculous what that guy does. And
completely
he's been doing such a long time now too. That's the other thing that's really you have to give him some kudos for.
Well, he's the only person to hit over 4,000, so
kept his body in amazing shape. It's good to see.
Incredible.
Alrighty, card wise, look, we talked about Steph the last episode, really, the last full episode. So
I feel
it's
like
a little bit of a tricky one.
Always talking about Steph. So
I found this one though. This is something we've not spoken about ever. So this is 2009. This is from the set called Classics, which I'm not going to lie to you, I'm not uber familiar with this.
This is like last episode when you didn't want to talk about the Bowman 48. Like, it's such a deep dive.
Well, I would rather talk about this than a college uniform card, honestly.
That's fair. That's very fair.
This one's Beckett 9.5 autograph to 10. It's an on-card autograph. And it's real funny, this photo, because that looks like a retro uniform. But then I sort of realized that's like it's a retro uniform they're using today, but obviously they were throwing it back then too. So that's kind of nice little card. Look, I think the picture on this is great. The graphics on this is really cool. Pricing on this is going to be a bit of an interesting one. This last sold for $6,000. Actually is a rookie year autograph or a rookie card autograph. You can say either way on that. Population of this 169. Actually, looking at the data, actually it's been moving quite a bit. So in the last 3 months, we've had 2 sales. In the last 6 months, we've had 5 sales. In the last year, maybe that's like 12 or 15, something like that. So yeah, it definitely gets around. Okay, look, that was a good one to sort of
something different.
Add to your knowledge bank of Steph Curry rookie cards that are out there that aren't uber expensive.
Aren't the standard one, I guess, is the...
Interesting on that, actually. So the BGS 9.5 is 6,000. The PSA is 7,800. It's obviously it's more, but at the same time, it's not crazy high either. So
it's not... That one's numbered to 499, isn't it?
Yeah.
So there's a few out there. There's actually a BGS 10 black.
Oof.
That's a black label. 5 of them. Wow.
That's an outlier, isn't it?
A bit different.
All right. Talk to us about Jokic, because that's the other guy that you put into the list. I think this is definitely worth talking about.
I did see some pretty insane box scores today, and it was double overtime. But Jokic bringing up a 61-point triple-double and still not getting the win against the Minnesota Timberwolves, courtesy of former Laker Russell Westbrook having a brain fade at the end of the game. So
that doesn't sound like something Westbrook would do.
still helping the Lakers on their they're vying for position at the end of the postseason.
Alrighty, I've got an Instagram post going next week. It's just a picture of Jokic. I can't remember what card. I think I had a timeless moment card, and the caption is really simple: the best player in basketball. So, Adam, you've got complete deniability on this. I definitely put that post up. You didn't. But that's how I feel about this guy this year. You know, we can talk about Luka until the cows come home. We can talk about LeBron.
Yeah.
We can talk about SGA. But for me, the best guy in basketball at the moment is Jokic. And
is Nick? Well, yeah.
He's just so good.
I argued this on a friend's podcast not very long ago. We
You're going to drop the name of this friend's podcast? You might as well, mate. You don't need to tiptoe around it.
It's called Three Old Guys Talking Ball, and it's two of my high school mates. We have a good chat about the NBA, and this week we talked about the NBA awards and our predictions and what we thought.
Yep.
And I was very vocal arguing that, and I may have coined it the Joel Embiid rule. I'm saying that Nikola Jokic is a very deserving, should win the MVP this year.
Yeah.
And I'm invoking the Joel Embiid rule, and SGA will win it for narrative.
Mm.
And I'm sorry, SGA's had a phenomenal season, but there's daylight between Jokic and everybody else. As far as that man, there's nothing he can't do. The plus minus, how valuable to a team do you need to be that when you're off the floor, they're terrible, and when you're on the floor, they're the best team going around.
Yeah, the guy's an absolute maniac, honestly.
Yep. Because the Thunder can win without SGA.
Alrighty, so the card I found for Jokic, which is a card we haven't spoken about, I'm pretty sure, 2015 Immaculate RPA. Beautiful layout of the card, fantastic autograph that Jokic has laid down to this, and also a triple colored patch, which has got that beautiful kind of like canary yellow / gold color in it, which I really quite like that. Look, comps on this are a little bit tricky because the PSA 10 hasn't sold since 2018. So that's really hard to get a bit of a grasp on. But
we can go based on the raw.
Yeah, so looking at the raws, which is a really good, maybe what you could use is just the trend on that. So since 2021, that has gone from 1,500 all the way up to 6,100 and now down to 4,000. So I think if you are, so this is a really good comp actually. Let's just comp this straight up. So we can go the raw Jokic to 99, and then we got the Steph Curry. Even if we talk about the BGS 9.5, that sold for 6,000. So actually, that's a really fun one because, like, probably at the end of the day, as much as I love Jokic, I'd probably go for the Steph Curry.
Yeah,
I do love a good RPA, and obviously I love Jokic, but yeah, with that, the price difference between those two is not that great, and also then you're getting the grading factored in with the Steph one too. So maybe this Classics card is a little bit of pocket of value.
Oh, that's it. That's an interesting thought. The 6K.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's value there for sure. I don't know.
Even if it's a lesser set, and I'm saying that with air quotes, it's still an on-card autograph.
Yep.
Photography is still great, numbered. There's a lot to like there.
I don't know. If I get the that iMac Jokic cheaper than 10K, I think I'd be taking it. The PSA 9's 10,000, so there's a good benchmark of where things are at.
Caitlin Clark, 1 of 1. So this is from Sports Card Investor. You know, look, I think we're all on the record.
That's enough said on that.
How much we hate about Sports Card Investor, but at the same time too, they do some good content. So I have to reference it if I'm stealing it. So this is significant for a couple of reasons. Obviously, it's Caitlin Clark. It's a 1 of 1 from Prizm. It's PSA 10. That's amazing too. And then the sold listing price was $366,000. Like, this stuff really makes my head hurt. You know, obviously, I'm excited about WNBA. I love WNBA.
Yeah.
I love breaking the cards for people. You know, I think it's a really correct price point for people that want to get in and collect cards. Obviously, this last 12 months is a completely different story. But before all of this, you know, craziness has been happening, that's what it has been like. But so this is also significant. In addition to all of that, it's the most expensive women's trading card ever.
Yeah.
And not by a small margin, by like $100,000, which is moving out Serena Williams from number 1 to number 2. I just think this just keeps reinforcing to me how much stock people are putting into this young lady. And also I'm hoping this is going to show the future of, you know, women's professional basketball. So in terms of collectibles, popularity, maybe them getting a bit more remuneration into their pockets, all that type of stuff. So look, obviously it's very bittersweet for me because I think those type of prices really drive up the box prices even more. But at the same time too, I think in terms of just the hobby in general, and we make jokes about all the hobby's dead and da 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 da. Like clearly, if you've got someone who I think is still fringe, like let's be honest, I'd still put her behind Jordan, LeBron, Kobe, Steph Curry. Do you know what I mean? So it's like to get that much cash behind her, to me it's wild even for me.
Yeah. Well, Anthony Milne is joining us in the chat right now and says,
"Hello, Anthony.
It's sold by Golden. Says a lot. Doesn't make sense if this is better than any MJ auto out there. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's right, 100%. I think that's a very valid comp.
Yeah. It's like, what the hell's going on? Are you telling me you'd rather this than an MJ auto? And I'm sure it's a one of one. It's tough to grade with one of ones, but is it the first rookie one of one for her?
So there is other cards that came out before that. Select came out before Prizm, and then she did a whole bunch of draft pick sort of stuff. Then she had her own products, obviously. There's a lot of Caitlin Clark autos out there.
I'm just struggling to justify how this is better than Jordan autos, like the limited print run, like Jordan autos. I get it's rookie year, but still, that's Jordan we're talking about.
So I think the answer is that she's going to be the best in her category.
Sure.
I think that's what people are prospecting on. And so, plus also maybe also the fact that she's a woman, and maybe they've been waiting for that to come along to to jump in on. Like maybe that's the thing that they collect.
True.
They're into like women athletes.
You're right, and this could be is historical, iconic. You're right. There are other narratives at play that have impacted this card, so we shouldn't be just blindly comparing it to MJ. I guess maybe.
Yeah.
Good point. Thanks.
So
Anthony.
Going from the most, you might argue, iconic female athlete in the game to maybe one of the most misunderstood athletes of our time. We're going to talk about the 2012 Panini Prizm Kawhi Leonard. Why do I want to talk about this? Look, I think it's good to talk about Kawhi Leonard cards because he's not overly collected, and his resume is, in my opinion, one of like the best ever. And I would actually like to do a deep dive into Kawhi Leonard one day. Maybe do a timeless moment on him. That's like,
wow, okay. And
how much respect I've got for the guy.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Okay.
And I also think too, like, for his resume
Kawhi journey,
and how much he's not collected, or people don't get into him, and that's also a little bit on him too. Like he doesn't sign, or he's very infrequently signed over the years, so that's a tough one. But what I really like to see here is just the absolute skyrocket on this. So this has basically gone from a $500 card all the way up to $2,600. Population on this is just 5. There wasn't 88 different parallels from that year. What was there, 10?
Not many. No, rainbows were like 8. It was not much.
Yeah.
Like 2012.
So anyway, just one to froth over a little bit. I think that's a really good one, and
that's a nice one.
It's good for Kawhi Leonard collectors who have been out there. This next one for me is a little bit of a regretful one. So this is about Cam Reddish. This is from Shams. The Lakers are waiving Cam Reddish to make space for Jordan Goodwin. So I was actually listening to the broadcast the other day, and they were talking about Jordan Goodwin, how much the Lakers have fallen in love with this kid, and he's come through
his impact.
Yeah, their G League program. They put him onto a 2-way contract, and and they've just like loved this kid to death. And for me, what I wanted to talk about was Cam Reddish just in general. So I think we should quickly just jump onto card ladder.
Yeah,
because this kid came out of college and was highly touted. People were putting buckets of money into this kid. And so let's look at the all-time sales on Cam Reddish. So this rookie card PSA 10 once sold for $548. It is currently trading at $8. Population on this currently is 557. So the card ladder value is $8.04, and it's currently trading at $8.01. So you have the potential to get 3 cents worth of value if you were to go out and pick it up now. Look, I'm out on this kid. I think the Lakers waiving him is actually going to be disastrous for his career. I think he might be.
I think it's the end of his career. I actually think it's the end of his career. The Lakers threw him a lifeline. He was a good role. He had a role-playing element. I guess he just slipped off, and he could be out of the league pretty quick.
I'm trying to think of a comp of this guy that, in terms of talent-wise and his body, and he's a really tricky one because he's a freak athlete, but also has an insane amount of talent. The one I'm sort of thinking about, which is not a great one because he's not as good of a scorer, is Carmelo Anthony.
Wow.
That's how high I am on this kid in terms of overall talent and how much he could have, what could have been. I think that's the best way to say it.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
Listeners at home, what's your comp for Reddish? Because there's probably a better one out there than Carmelo Anthony. I'm sure there is, but that's the one that comes to mind straight away. So
Cam Reddish. Yeah, I don't know. He was highly. Who was someone else that sort of went down on that spiral journey? Dennis Smith Jr.
yeah, I don't think he had as much talent.
He didn't get the resurrection, I guess. Dennis Smith Jr. So
I think Dennis Smith Jr. was a little bit different because a lot of his game was dependent on his athleticism, and then I think he had 2 or 3 lots of knee surgery.
Oh, Anthony Milne comment. Reddish, Knox, and Calvert are in the same stock market.
Knox, yeah. Knox, I actually think is a bit unfortunate. I think in the right situation, he would have been fine in the league. He's a 3-and-D guy. Was very athletic. I think he just got off to the wrong start because the Knicks expected a lot from him, you know.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to a break. Thank you very much to Game Time International for supporting the show. We're very honored that you'd be on board with us. The main reason we reached out to you for sponsorship is because we love your product. So magnetics that are literally presented to you in a flawless manner. The main thing I want to talk about is the way that they've developed the technology around the penny sleeve inside of the magnetic. So that protects the surface of your card. Obviously, it gives you more protection on the edges in addition to the one touch, the way that's laid out to also protect your corners.
Yeah.
The other thing to really quickly mention too is the removable plastic film. So when they come out of the packet, they've actually got another layer of protection on that. So when you remove that, it's absolutely pristine and you have the perfectly clear view of your card inside your magnetic.
Yep.
Superior display, no flaws, customer service feed, focus, manufacturer relations, best in the hobby. Go to GameTimeInternational.com. They ship worldwide. USA, Germany, Philippines, Australia, New Zealand, USA, Canada, wherever you want them shipped to, GTI will get them out to you. Thank you very much for your support. Alrighty, Ad, how are you doing, buddy?
I'm good. What is next on the news docket?
I think we should talk about GameStop, and the reason we should is because often Australia will follow similar trends to what is happening in America. So basically, GameStop's collectible revenue was up to $100 million in quarter 4.
Yep.
Making up 20% of their total net sales. So why is this important? I think as video games transition out of hard copies onto streaming services or even just, downloading them off the servers of your PlayStation, Switch or whatever, I think the relevant example for us is EB Games.
I was going to say, what's the equivalent of GameStop? Because we don't have GameStop in
We
Australia.
don't have GameStop, but
we have EB Games and Electronic Boutique. Is that the...
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think if we're being honest about it and we're sort of thinking about it, you can definitely see that they're not as popular as they used to be. They're not as full as many people when you go there anymore. The one local to me is shut down altogether. It's just disappeared.
Really?
Yeah. So the one on Chapel Street, gone.
Interesting. I've got one around the corner, and then there's another couple in the city. So there's a few because I'm in the CBD. But my local one, funnily enough, I went in the other day and they had Pokemon and Magic the Gathering singles.
Right. And I think this is what
available
we should be talking
for
about.
purchase, yeah.
And the way I was thinking about this a little bit too is JB Hi-Fi, where they were a dedicated music shop and then they've transitioned into selling other stuff.
They've diversified.
Electronics, coffee machines, vacuum cleaners. And so I think that's what EB Games is going to do, just like what GameStop has done too. So look, I always, I think it's better if people do well and all that. I don't think it's good for the economy for shops to be going broke, particularly big companies like EB Games. So if that is the transition they make, and they're already started to do that, to me, that makes a whole lot of sense. And I also think too, in terms of, buying power and the contracts they must already have in place, and also just so if you think about how they're sort of spread out over Australia, if they're then buying and selling cards and they've got processes in place for that, it actually almost seems like a quick win. You've already got the bricks and mortars there.
Yeah.
You've already got the staff there, all that type of stuff. So why couldn't you up-train them and get that done?
Yeah. Well, I mean, EB Games for us anyway is a platform where sort of that basketball hobby retail, the retail product is available.
Definitely.
I remember through when we came out of COVID, I remember cursing the bots. I think was the
It
everyone's
was a thing,
favorite
wasn't
thing.
it?
eBay games pre-sales.
Yeah.
The bots were cleaning them up, and that was where the resellers were trying to go.
They sold them at very reasonable prices. Yeah, people were jumping in there and flipping them out 100%.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. But there's still product. Like, obviously, you get your Disney Lorcana, your Pokemon, your Magic, all the games.
Yep.
But then you see soccer cards and a few basketball. There's hoops and stuff there, but the variety they had is not as plentiful at EB. But I'm sure that'll change.
Yeah. This is a bit of a funny one. This is from Lameme James. This one could be real, could be a joke. This is a buyer started a return process. The comments or the reason why: I could not move this at any of my card shows this weekend and last. Non-liquid. I apologize for the inconvenience. So I would absolutely say this is a dud buyer. This is absolutely a reason to not return somebody their money.
Reason for return changed my mind.
I sort of consider that to be almost like an interest-free loan on a card, though, too, if he does return it back. So he's taking the card, tried to sell it. I know I can't do it.
No one wants it. Bugger that.
There's no way that should be returned, though, by the way.
Agreed.
Alrighty. Let's talk a bit more card porn. Kobe Bryant downtown. Now, in the last episode, we were talking about Kobe, and I don't think I emphasized this enough. I think moving into the next few years, Kobe Bryant is someone who's going to have a lot more movement. And I think even though it's really tempting to flip some of his stuff out at the moment because of how high the prices are going, I think this is not the peak of the mountain. I think this might be the middle or 3/4, 70%.
Yeah.
But
there's a jump,
honestly,
but
yeah. And I think here's another, really good example why. So this is the downtown card from 2008 Cornerstones. 2018, sorry, I said 2008.
18,
I meant to say 18.
Cornerstones.
That is one of my favorite products ever. It was just such a good product.
Yeah, Cornerstones was great.
Yeah. The cards were nice out of it. Like, you would almost argue the base cards out of that were sort of very similar to the NT cards. You also had the quad patches in it. And then in addition to that, you had the case hits, which was the downtown. Like, just what a product.
Quality product.
That was Luca too.
Was it?
Yeah.
Really? Oh, yeah.
So Kobe downtowns, Luca RPAs.
Yeah.
Like, what a product. Anyway, back to Kobe. This last sold for $4,000. I actually don't have a problem with this. I think that's a really good buy.
Yeah.
I think the bigger problem here is it's a bit like me with Jokic. We're just too late. We've let this train sort of go off and
ship has sailed. Sorry for those that want to jump on board. Yeah.
So I think the other thing too that's probably pressing Kobe up in the very short term, there's a documentary coming out on Netflix.
I was going to say Netflix are looking to do something, aren't they?
Yeah, I don't think that's not related with this current price rise. I think it is related. I don't think it's the total reason why, but I think you do need to factor that in a little bit.
What's an impact? It's a spotlight is being shone on Kobe. So
we are not sponsored by Netflix. However, I'm going to say some very positive things about them. They make excellent documentaries. I
have to say, I finally got round to the Starting 5 doco. So
yeah, I love true crime, and there are some fantastic true crime documentaries on there. Honestly, like just brilliant stuff. Yeah.
While we're plugging streaming services, have you checked out ESPN on Disney Plus?
I don't have Disney, but when I was driving home the other day, I saw this enormous billboard with them advertising it, and now
Nick Kyrgios is the poster boy for it.
It's coming onto my YouTube and into my podcast, ads, all that type of stuff. So they're going to be flogging the life out of that, which is great. Like seeing LeBron in 3 stories high, it's an insane ad. It's fantastic.
It's pretty good.
Alrighty, guys, if you're sitting at home and waiting to put on your tinfoil hat as we go through a conspiracy theory, now's the time. We'll give you a few seconds to put on your hat. This is from Shams. This is a bit of a sad story. Damian Lillard has sustained a DVT in his right calf. Lillard is on blood-thinning medication, which has stabilized the blood clot and will continue with regular testing. So if you'd like to hear more information about this, and if you'd like to hear from professionals who are breaking this down, so go on to the Brian Windhorst podcast. So they broke this down on Friday's episode, I think it was. I don't think it was on the most recent one. I think it was on the one before. And actually what they described was he was complaining about calf discomfort. So the initial plan was to treat him for a calf injury. When they sent him off for imaging, then they found it. So it was actually, they were doing like their due diligence. Yeah, they were doing their due diligence, and they were like, doing the right thing. But they were kind of like, oof, lucky we didn't just sort of send him off for massage and, stretching, because that would have been absolutely, the worst thing you could have done. So
I'm familiar with the injury.
A few people in the comments, and I was reading up on a couple of different forums, so I'm sort of summarizing a few different pieces into this like one little bit, but some people are saying it's dehydration, some people are saying it's anti-inflammatory use, and then if you got some people linking it back to the COVID vaccine. And this is actually the one that I'm really genuinely surprised there's not more chatter about COVID vaccines and athletes having DVT, because so I do not have the numbers for this, and I'm not trying to fuel any sort of fire, but like I feel like the last 2 years we've had more DVTs than I can remember the 10 years before that. So we had one of the Thompson twins have it. Obviously, we've had Wemby. We got Lillard. There was another player we spoke about recently. But then before that, when we ran through this, I feel like maybe there was Chris Bosh.
Bosh was the first main.
Then there was another one sort of a couple of years before that, and that was sort of it. Like, it seems to be relatively something that's happening more lately, but maybe we're just going through a run, and
maybe it's just an easy
injury. It's a small number.
To say, I want to sit out for the season. Is he torn anything? Nah, just call it a DVT.
I would say for him, that's not where he's at in his career. Like
I agree. I'm just,
very kindly requested a trade to a contender, which the Blazers gave to him. I still A+ on that, and I think he wants a championship. And this is it now. This ruins his season. And actually, the Bucks were starting to play pretty good basketball.
Yeah, I don't.
Giannis is playing awesome.
Yeah, it's.
The Bucks are currently 6th in the East at 41-34. It's not setting the world on fire, but yeah.
I don't know. I feel like if the thinners have stabilized the clot, then is that going to allow him to play?
No.
He's out for the season.
I think the answer is
no. Health management, yeah. Okay.
I mean, we have to wait and see, because technically it's not been announced.
Yeah.
But my prediction is no, he won't be back this season, and he might even miss a little bit of time next year.
Yeah.
It's a stinker. All right, have we got time to do one more quickie?
Yeah, we got time for one.
Alrighty. So this is a bit of an interesting one, actually, and the timing on this is relatively good, because the last time we spoke about LeBron, we didn't have the opportunity to talk about a recent $1 million sale.
Ah, yes.
So this is the exquisite rookie patch autograph of LeBron James. Got back up to $1 million card just on the weekend.
Yeah.
All right. I've got a couple of thoughts about this, but I'll do the really high up one at the moment. It's really interesting to me at the moment, because some people in the hobby are saying the hobby is dead. We're not doing well. Things are terrible at the moment. Panini's ruining the hobby. Print runs are up. Blah, 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 blah.
It's obvious, really, when you look at it.
Box
look at this.
Prices are coming down. Sometimes they're going up. Just depends on the product a little bit. People are having trouble selling singles.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of return coming out of boxes. That's the sort of the negative side of it.
It's an absolute disaster.
My observation is, though, at the moment, is that the right cards are selling for high, and sometimes even too high. And so, like, I don't think this is too high, but what I think is significant is the timing of this sale. Like, considering, some people are out there saying how bad that the hobby is. Well, actually, we just spoke about a huge Caitlin Clark sale.
Context, people, yeah.
We're now talking about $1 million sale on this, and I'll link this in, and we'll talk about it more later on. But there was also a sale from SGA, and when I looked at it, I was like, that is insane.
Yeah.
Like the price of that
SGA prices are going through the roof.
$150,000. Yeah, the commas are at $150,000. Yeah, $150,000 for his gold to 10. Like, for me, that is so crazy. I'm stuttering a little bit.
Yeah.
And so, look, I think there's nothing wrong with the LeBron being at that price, by the way, because we've seen Luka's at that price when I'm definitely stealing from you now, but, then what has he done?
Yeah.
And so to see that at $1 million, I'm actually like, look, that is, to me, that's totally fine. The only thing I worry about it, though, is the pop count on that, because I can't actually see what the numbering is on this.
To 99 by the look of it.
Yeah, whereas the Luka that went for $1 million was the 1 of 1. So it's completely different.
But that's a LeBron rookie.
Yeah, but there's
LeBron's achieved
100.
a couple of things more than Luka.
There's 100 of them though. Yeah.
I would argue LeBron's achieved a lot more than.
No, I'm not arguing.
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
I'm not arguing.
than
I'm just saying in terms of
to
scarcity.
scale the card. Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Anyway, look, just fantastic
for
the hobby.
Imagine if there was a Jordan rookie patch.
So if we are talking about this is my long-held view. I don't value the rookie card the way other people do. There's so many of them. There's so many fakes. They're not okay. Some are autographed. Whereas for me, I see a heap of value in his exquisite patch autograph stuff. And I find that whilst I think that card is iconic, the rookie card, I just find the patch autograph stuff a lot more aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah.
Final thoughts on this. We'll go for a couple.
No, it's nice. This is a beautiful card.
Yeah.
It's that LeBron RPA. I do think that is quite a coveted card, and not the most available.
What's the peak you think that'll get to?
Peak. There's a couple of scenarios. I think it's a steal, and I think it has the potential to be at that grade. I'm not sure. Given the I don't know. I struggle because I think it's a $2 million card, $2.5 million card. The depends on what the pop count looks like. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I actually think this type of card could have quite a bit of variation in it. Like it could sell for the next sale could be 800.
Be a roller coaster.
Yeah. The one after that could be 1.2. And so I think I do have that little bit of a problem with this card. Also, I think too, I don't actually see a heap of growth in that at 1.1.
Ooh,
I see that more as I think that's for me, that purchase is more about putting that into your collection as opposed to a quick flip.
I have a tendency to to agree at that point. I don't know. I feel like it's an investment piece. Like you're right, it's probably someone that's bought it specifically for their PC. But you think about the context of this this ticks so many boxes. It's rookie, like a rookie patch auto.
Yeah.
On card.
Sure.
High grade.
Yeah.
Right? And we just talked about Kobe Bryant, the documentary that's coming out, spiking him.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to overhype this card, but I'm hopeful that the Lakers can actually go all the way this year. If the Lakers win this year, does LeBron go into that GOAT conversation just with a little bit more of an argument?
Yeah, right. Okay. So you think that's a little bit speculative on him adding another chip?
Yeah. I think someone's gone, Luka and LeBron are now paired. There's a chance he gets another chip, and now there's a real debate that this guy's actually the greatest player of all time because nobody is getting close to that 50K in points.
Can
no
you
one's eclipsing
imagine
him.
the ego if he does get that 6th championship?
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
I'm not prepared for it.
I'm trying to imagine. I'd be very happy if he got it because he plays for my team.
All right.
We need to talk about the LeBron songs that are all over Instagram.
No, we don't. No, we don't. I can't see it in the run sheet, so therefore we can't talk about it. Sorry, mate.
It'll be a timeless moment. What do you reckon? Top 10 LeBron songs.
Oh, jeez.
On that note.
Let's go to a break. Thank you very much to Fast Break Trading Cards for your support and ongoing support. They've had a couple of really big announcements recently. They had their first birthday. They put a party on for everybody. It was a fantastic day. They did giveaways, boxes for the kids. They had discounts on sealed. They had discounts on singles. It was just fantastic. The other thing too is that they are now an official partner of the Collect Fest, which is just huge. So their name is going to be up in bright neon lights for everybody to know about the fantastic things that they do. They sell tops, basketball, football, baseball, soccer, Formula 1, tennis, UFC, WWE. Take down your cards. They will buy them off you. They can clean them for you. They can send them off to grading for you. They will just talk to you about your cards. They're just generally good guys that like to talk about cards. Go down to 75 Tulip Street, Cheltenham, Friday 12 till 6, Saturday 9 till 5, Sunday 10 till 4. Contact them on 039968 550. Thank you very much to John and Alvaro at Team Fast Break. Alrighty, Ad, we're back. How you doing?
Good.
Right.
Very good.
This next one, I would really like to talk about with you because it is a relatively new insert that's come into a product. And I'm going to say relatively new because it's not like we've never seen these types of cards before. So, for example, what I'm trying to draw this to is it's to me very much like a Kaboom. However, we do need to talk about it because some of the sales,
I like the optics you've given to
the
this
setup,
already.
yeah. So if you go to eBay and sold listings, that's probably the easiest way to do it. And before I go any further, I need to do a better introduction of the card. We're talking about the 2024 Prizm NBA manga.
Agreed. So you need to be less humble on this. We talked about this when Prizm draft picks came out last year or the year before about the manga.
Manga card into their sets, and I was talking about them saying don't go too crazy. Often this stuff will go down a little bit. However, they seem to me very collectible. They have now been released into a pro set.
Yep, and these aren't animes of Ja Morant and Steph Curry in their college uniforms. This is the pro set. Where's the button?
So I feel like a little bit too is that, like, have you seen this online and social media, and have you seen influencers talking about them and like I just haven't seen them at all.
No.
But going through the sold listing, so the Luka sold for $2,600. This is all US dollars.
Yeah.
The Anthony Edwards sold for $2,000 and then $2,100. The Wemby sold for $3,300. The Steph sold for $7,300.
What did you use as your search term? Because I'm on 130 point.
2024 Prizm NBA manga.
2024 Prizm NBA manga.
The Kevin Durant sold for $1,300. Another sale of the Steph Curry for $4,200. The Bronny James sold for $740. The Giannis sold for $1,800. The Zachary Richesher sold for a K, but it sold for $999.99, but close enough. The Dalton Connect sold for $1,300. So if you're going into Lakers PYT, that's actually 3 potential hits at a manga. You got LeBron.
What products are they in?
So this is the part that I'm a little bit unclear of, and I probably should have done a bit more homework on this. It's a Chinese version of Prizm, basically. But the checklist is actually very unclear because when you go onto the Beckett checklist, it just has them all listed there in the checklist. So I actually must confess I haven't watched cases and cases of case breaks this year in terms of Prizm. I've watched a little bit of content, but I haven't watched more than 5 cases. Let me put it to you like that. So
yeah,
they could come out of regular ones. And if people at home would like to set me straight on this and correct me, of course, I would love to hear your feedback. Other cards in the checklist, I'm going to run through this really quickly because it's not like we're talking about 88 different types of parallels. We've got Bazulis for the Bulls, Collier from the Jazz, Bronny James, Steph, Giannis, Richesher, Edwards, KD, Wemby, Donovan Clingan for the Blazers, Solan for the Hornets, which is an interesting one for me, LeBron James, Topic for the Thunder, Dillingham for the Wolves, which I think is a really good one, Stephon Castle for the Spurs. I think that's going to be really collectible too. Jokic for the Nuggies, Dalton Connect, SGA, Doncic, and then Alexander Sarr for the Wizards, which is a really fun one.
I love the Anthony Edwards one.
Yeah, the graphics is really good, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we put up posts onto Instagram for this. We've had a few people comment on this, but Liftoff Cards said SGA and Ant-Man.
Yeah.
D Rose Collective. That one took me a minute to work out. I was like, is this Dr. O's Collective? No, it's D Rose, as in Derrick Rose.
Yeah.
Done KD absolutely dirty with that forehead. I don't think it's that bad. He kind of
I thought they did KD wrong by putting him in a Phoenix jersey, but
he kind of has a big head. I mean, that's not like
it looks out of proportion.
Okay, all right. I'll concede that one.
I find it funny.
Did you want to read some of the Facebook ones off, mate?
Yes. Actually, I've only got the Instagram up.
That's okay. I'll read off the first couple and then you catch up. How does that sound?
Sure.
Adam Muirhead, Joker, 100%. Ados Uchos, how are you, buddy? Jokic. So it seems to me like the Joker one is pretty popular so far. Ryan Miller. I'd want the Luka, but Giannis looks best. That is a good picture, isn't it?
Giannis looks best. I'm still on Ant, but you'll have to keep going. How many more have you got?
Daniel Waldschmidt. Still got a few more. Giannis and Ant. Ryan Jewell. Giannis, Ant, LeBron, Steph. Levi Kuhn. Steph, but like the look of Collier also. Yeah. Marie Moore. Joker by far. I want it. He doesn't have many cards with good expression on his face. Yeah, actually, it's kind of a cheeky It's a cheeky little grin, isn't it? And he doesn't smile. It takes a lot for that guy to smile, doesn't it? Like a horse to win or some type of party.
Anthony Milne, if they're 7K each, I'll take any of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then is it Paul Stoll
That's
at the
it.
end?
He's the last one, yeah.
Ant and Steph.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. I like definitely. My favorite's Ant. Luke Griffey was wearing a Lakers jersey.
So we should really quickly talk about this, but not go too deep into it. If you look at the back of the card, artwork is by BBK. Now, when I searched that young, I'm going to say man, I'm assuming it's a man, they have a heap of art on their Instagram, like heaps.
Really?
Absolutely heaps. And they've done a whole bunch of stuff. They've done soccer cards. They've done NFL. Yeah. So clearly they've got, a really good working relationship with Panini. And rightfully so, by the way. Like, this stuff is absolutely lit. I'd almost like to see a Tyson Beck crossover here, to be perfectly honest.
I was going to say BBK Tyson Beck crossover.
Yeah. So if you then click on the link tree that's there, they've actually put up a whole bunch of wallpapers, which is for free. You can just click on them and just download them.
Okay.
So I only really quickly looked at this last night. But yeah, there's a whole... Look at this. There's heaps of them out. And they're really cool. So if you're into PSG, if you're into Bayern, there's one there for you. I'm actually really into soccer at the moment. So
okay,
I actually might grab a couple of these just to chuck on my computer to mix it up. Yep, super cool. Anyway, look, I hope there's more collaborations like this. I think this is really innovative by Panini, and I think collectors have clearly spoken.
Yeah.
In the very much the positive on these. So
very much so. It's it's going to be a thing. It looks like it's going to be a thing. I like it. Look forward to potentially something with as you said, along the Tyson Beck vein.
Alrighty, let us go to our third and final break. We're going to shout out to the hobbyhangout.com.au. Go to the hobbyhangout.com.au, and once you are there, you'll be able to purchase your tickets for the Hobby Hangout XL Trading Card Show Australia Royal Exhibition Building, Sunday the 1st of June. I think they're doing some Sydney shows too, aren't they? Or have they not been announced yet?
I don't think they've been announced. I think the Hobby Hangout XL is the only one on the docket at the moment.
Yeah. So last week we discussed Golden coming down, which is a huge announcement. I may or may not have been commenting on their post asking if Ken Golden is going to be coming. I haven't had a response back. I think my plan is this week to send them an email to try and find out if we can get a little bit of an exclusive. But interestingly, I had Levi Coombe message me this week, and apparently Golden is coming to Adelaide this week for another trade show. So I can't imagine Ken Golden is flying back and forward to Australia and home that regularly. I wonder if one of his delegates, what I'm trying to get to is like one of his delegates. Anyway, it's going to be cool.
Which one of his lackeys is going to be there? Or is he sending his daughter?
I don't know. Australian international guests, exclusive speakers sharing insider knowledge and tips, sports cards, massive selection of Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh! And more, trading zones, trading card tournaments, giveaways, interactive brand activations, casual play areas. I'm super stoked for this. I think that this is what we needed for a really long time. And I really think these interactive areas with people to be able to trade, play, and have casual play is honestly essential.
I thought you were going to talk about activations then. Do we have more on what the activations look
I might include that in the email too. How about that? And then we'll hopefully...
Can you explain these Can someone from the Hobby Hangout come on the show and explain these activations to us?
Yeah, that's right.
We demand answers.
Alrighty. Enough of the comedy. Alrighty. We're back. Adam, how you doing?
I'm good. Ready for the final stretch?
Yeah, I'm ready. All right, we don't have actually much left in the run sheet, so let's talk about Time Lord really quickly. This is a tough one for me because we're talking about people with a lot of talent who just have never worked out in the NBA, and that's the league for it.
Yeah.
You can have all the talent in the world and just not work out. Look, this guy is super talented, and when he's on the floor, he's a very much an impactful basketball player, and I think it says a lot that they basically traded Porzingis. Sorry, let me rephrase that. The Celtics traded away Time Lord and basically got Porzingis back for him. I'm cheating when I'm saying that, but that's in my sort of deep down. That's what I really think the roster moves are all around on that one.
Fair.
He's currently on the Blazers, but if you look at his game log this year, he's absolutely barely played. So let's see if he's on card ladder because I call him Time Lord, but his real name is actually Robert Williams.
He's on par with like Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. He's played 61 games total in the past 3 years?
It's nuts. Alrighty, so he's
Ben
currently
Simmons
trading
level.
$7.36. His all-time high was $277. Look, he's an absolute cautionary tale. But if you said to me, I got caught up in this guy's talent, I thought he was going to be an all-star, I wouldn't even snicker at you. I wouldn't even criticize you. In fact, I would say, I agree with you. I think it's just very unfortunate if you did buy that at the absolute peak.
Okay.
And it's now trading at $7. Look, I do love a nice little gamble. I do love cheap cards to pick up. But even for me, this is like a stay away. I'm going to put this into the Cam Reddish. It's just too much.
Zion bucket? Guy's a beast if he's healthy, but
I think Zion's different again, man.
True.
I think Zion's held to a different standard.
True. And then Time Lord didn't have to take a Zempic to play ball.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know. The man's hamstrings are like paper.
Actually, I got a bit of a funny joke on this. So Şengün isn't on card ladder, but Robert Williams is. I think we should start I think we should start a petition, get people to sign it, like an online petition, and then submit it to card ladder and be like, look, your listeners, your fans of your product have spoken. You need to get this dude on here.
You know what's funny? I tipped my hat to Şengün the other night and said he should be on the NBA All NBA third team with the season he's had. So that's probably. I think the Rockets needed some love, and Şengün's the only one I wanted to give some love to. But yeah, so he should be on card ladder.
It's a tricky one for me to put you on the spot and ask you, but maybe this is what we should do for preparation for our next show. Yeah. We say our All NBA players, because I think the one for me that I'm really stuck on at the moment is the Pistons. I think someone from that team has to be All NBA.
Cade Cunningham.
Then I think at least 2 from the Cavs will have to be All NBA. They're 60 and 15.
Mitchell and Mobley.
Yeah.
This is like a preview for
Celtics probably deserve 1, if not 2, on All NBA.
Tatum's getting first team for sure.
Then you go the Thunder.
SGA.
Maybe they should have 2.
Oh, look.
Then the Rockets. Then the Nuggets. Then
the Nuggets get the guy that is the best player in the world, right?
Like, this is such a good problem to have, but to narrow it down to 15 players this year, I think it's going to be really tough.
It's true. I agree.
And I would love to have a vote.
Fun. Yeah.
I would love to have a vote, but I'm telling you this. I'm glad this year I don't have a vote. It is so murky for me this year.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, maybe that's what we'll look at next week.
Traditionally, Zach Lowe has done this like mega podcast, and he makes a huge list. He's like, okay, I'm going to start off with 60 players. And then he whittles it down, and then he explains why for each one. And then he goes through like the detailed analysis on the back end. It is absolutely unbelievable. Oh, actually, hey, segue number 15 of today's show. Speaking of Zach Lowe, he has returned to the Ringer. So if you were
saw that,
a Zach Lowe fan and you're a little bit sad that he got fired from ESPN, do not despair. Go and refresh your Ringer podcast.
Yeah.
Look, I've completely dropped off the Ringer. I'm not going to lie to you. I think their content is fantastic, but also too, if you want nerdy content, they're more entertainment these days. And now that Zach's back, he ticks so many boxes for me in terms of nerd and entertainment. So I'm very, very excited about this, actually. I'm very excited.
Very.
Alrighty. So why don't we do a continuation on from the segment we did a couple of weeks or last episode
when we were going through card ladder.
Go to card ladder, go to players.
All right, we're on here. Let's
filter it by total market cap. And if my memory serves me well, we are up to Wilt Chamberlain.
Probably.
Click on Wilt Chamberlain. Click on cards.
Because we did Kareem. We did Kareem in the 200s. That's correct.
Apply the PSA 10 Gem Milt filter, and that will give you the 1974 Topps Wilt Chamberlain card number 250. And I'm not going to be able to say this word, but I will try. The San Diego Conquistadors. I think I got it. I nailed that.
The what? Which filter am I putting on?
PSA 10.
PSA 10. Yeah.
Remember you wanted PSA 10.
Yep.
Yeah.
And what card am I looking for?
It should be number 1. Should be the 1974 Wilt Chamberlain Conquistadors.
Never mind. I went to I had a bit of a
old man moment.
Yeah, I did click Kareem. All right, we've already done this one. Everybody watching on YouTube has seen me do that. It was quite amusing.
Mate, we are old. Okay.
It won't be the last time.
We are old. I
can tell you that.
Alrighty.
San Diego, Conquistadors. Wow.
So I think Wilt Chamberlain is significant because we recently had that PSA 10 sale of his card, which sold for, if my memory serves well, $1 million. I think that Wilt is probably an undervalued asset in general. The other thing about Wilt Chamberlain too is that you try and buy a Wilt Chamberlain autograph, I would almost describe it as impossible. So I think a lot of this stuff that's floating around at the moment, like, yeah, the prices are crazy, bananas crazy, and I get that. But I actually wonder if it's still undervalued. So the PSA 10 sale isn't listed in Card Ladder for a 61 Fleer rookie, which is an interesting little wrinkle. I think if I remember...
No, but it hasn't been sold, has it?
It was a private sale. Yeah, so it's been sold since...
Yeah.
And they sold it again after... So they bought it, put it into PSA 10, because it was SGC, then they changed it over, and then it was sold in a private sale. So, look, I think this is an interesting card. Do I think this is a really good card to be picking up at the $15,000 price point? I actually don't have a problem with it. So if you look at the next two cards down the list, so the 72 Tops is selling for $24,000. The 61 Fleer is selling for $14,000. Like, once you get into that sort of a card that's like 70 years old, that really, and it's still in PSA 10 condition. Of those three, I probably like that one the best, actually.
Which one? The
61 Fleer.
The 61 Fleer.
Just for the age point. Like, there's something about that. Like, once it gets to that age and it's still in PSA 10.
That is insane.
Just makes me, So that's pop 2 on that one too. So we talk about cards just exploding and popping. So the normal thing we do is we talk about Jordan inserts. Okay, here's another one that's just doubled in value in the last couple of months. I feel like that's the type of thing you could look at too. And it's like, okay, you pick it up for 14. The next sale is 45.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah, that's...
I reckon there has to be some collectors out there that are just snapping all these up. Well, us dummies are talking about ultramodern Prizm hobby. I'm referring to myself, by the way.
Yeah.
Definitely not the listeners.
Instead of buying a few of those manga cards, then maybe just...
Yeah, they're just going out and buying Wilt Chamberlain from 1970. Yeah. Alrighty, SGA. Let's talk about SGA. I think... Did we talk about him last episode?
Did we go into it? We were talking about the market cap. Yeah, we did.
All right. Well, why don't we skip over that then, and we'll do one more, and then we'll tidy up today's show. Next one's Giannis.
Yeah, we did.
Fantastic.
We did talk. Yeah, SGA is probably, it's a spike in the cap. I think it's a bit. Yeah, that was great. The main thing.
All right, this makes me very happy. Alrighty, so filtering by cards, adding on the PSA 10 filter. The top card is 2013 National Treasures rookie patch autograph, number to 99. So for people at home that are thinking, why is it the number to 99 and not the 10 or the 20?
Yeah.
It's one of those stupid rules that's unwritten in basketball cards. The 99 is actually more valuable than the lower numbered stuff. Don't ask why, just roll with the punches.
It's the RPA.
Yeah. If you look at the all-time graph on this, it's got 3 sales that are documented. There's one for $900, there's one for $30,000, and then it goes all the way up to $553,000. Look, I don't have a massive problem with this, but what I will say is, and which is what I was saying to you before about the LeBron, there's 99 of these. I really think that you probably could have held out at some point.
Pop report wise, there are 4 of these.
True.
That brings the number down quite significantly, right?
I think the population on that could go up. I don't think that is going to be the final destination on that card.
Total population is 121. That's interesting.
Well,
no.
I'm
we
not
know
great
we've crossed
at maths.
people. Yeah. We've crossed some over, of course.
I'm not great at maths, but
I don't think these cross over very well.
Yeah.
Although there haven't been that many.
What's the gem rate?
16.5%.
25% on PSA. Yeah.
So 25% on PSA. I think there's no 10s in BGS. There's no black label. So maybe Look, the pop count of 10 on the PSA. Every other price point, the 9.5s are going for 50k each. Is the card ladder value? Yeah,
I think sometimes that card ladder value is flawed, and particularly when there's not a lot of sales data. So I wouldn't read a lot into that.
No, sorry, I'll rephrase. The number to 99, BGS 9.5, auto 10, BGS last sold for $50,020.
What year was that at?
On the 8th of March this year.
Yeah, right.
So that sold recently. It peaked at 350K.
Yeah.
Back in 2021 because everyone lost their mind.
Yeah.
And then it stabled out. There was a sale for 57, 60. There was a 69K sale in 2023. But then, last two sales, 76K December 28th, 2024. And then March 8th for 50K.
So for me, this is like two easy rules to apply. Buy the card, not the grade. It's like, to me, if you're getting a card for 10 times less just because it's in a BGS 9.5 slab instead of PSA, like that to me does not make sense. The other rule that you would then apply here is the PSA. Like, people always complain about PSA, how they're this or that, blah, 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 blah. But if you're getting 10 times more for your money just because it's in a PSA slab, what more conversation needs to be had about why you should grade your cards with PSA? Like, you know what I mean? I'm not a PSA simp, but I'm just saying, like, just do the numbers.
Hell yeah. But based on the gem rate, what if you crack that 9.5 and you end up with a PSA 9?
I think that's the obvious play. I don't have the testicular fortitude to do that, but like that to me, that's just obvious, isn't it?
So and this is this purely hypothetical.
Absolutely.
Oh,
this is how we like to go.
Anyone want to play? It's a different. Well, the photo on card.
Get your tinfoil hat out. Is that what you're saying?
It is. All right. Are you ready? Ready for this?
Yeah.
There was an auction on March 30th where this sold in a PSA 9 for 43,920. Do you reckon someone's tried to move it because it crossed badly a couple of weeks later?
I mean, 9.5.
Yeah. They've taken the risk. They've bought a card for 50K. They've cracked it. They've express subbed it, sent it straight to Golden. It came back a 9 instead of a 10. Sold for 43. I don't know. I'm just guessing it's the same card. But so it sold for 7K less.
That would actually, particularly numbered cards, it would be nice to know.
21-day turnaround, and plus to grade
where
an auction, probably not. Yeah. But it'd be interesting to see. Yeah, that one. Yeah, it's an interesting one.
Thank you, Adam, for a fantastic show. Thank you, everybody, for listening, for tuning in, whatever podcast platform that you're on. Thank you to all of our YouTube subscribers. So we have had an exponential growth in the last couple of weeks. We are now nearly up to 1,000 subscribers.
Yep.
I remember us pushing to get 150.
Yeah.
That took us months. So to go from 200 to nearly 1,000 in a couple of weeks is wild. So you're up to 952.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody who has subscribed. If you haven't already subscribed, none of our content is paywalled. If you would like to thank us, if you would like to show us your appreciation or whatever it is that you would like to say, go onto our YouTube, click subscribe, maybe even like a couple of videos, maybe even watch an hour or two of our content.
Yeah,
that's the
best
way
with it.
To say thanks to us.
Get in there, leave a comment. We respond to everything. We either react or respond. We're in there. We check.
We do a pretty good job of that, actually. We might miss the odd one, but yeah.
But we do. We try to respond to everything that warrants a response. Statements that kind of allude to please don't respond. We don't respond to. But yes, we appreciate all the support, even on the podcast platforms. Hell, if you're on Spotify and want to give us 5 stars, just so the algorithm picks up who we are.
Correct.
On podcasts. So
correct.
Yeah. Appreciate all the support. Thank you so much for listening. We appreciate everything. 200 episodes strong and still loving it. Yep. Thank you, Russell, for another great week.
Yeah,
and
cheers, man.
We'll see everybody in the next one.